a dangerous world, nuclear arsenals and our containment policy, which I mentioned in my statement, has been critically important. By the way, I've just been handed a note that I misspoke and said I supported the President's position on containment. If I said that, it meant to say that obviously his position on containment, we don't have a position on containment.
We do have a position on containment, which is that we do not favor containment.
We have never made any part of a legitimate independent government designated them or made them part of a terrorist organization.
I can understand if you meant it's a legal entity that has international relations and has diplomatic relations and is a member of the UN, but I do not see Iran or the Iranian government as a legitimate government, and I'd like your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. What I meant to say, should have said, it's recognizable. It's been recognized, is recognized at the United Nations. Well, I would defer to the judgment of history to sort that out.
I want to know if you were right or wrong. That's a direct question. I expect a direct answer.
The surge assisted in the objective, but if we review the record a little bit.
Will you please answer the question? Were you correct or incorrect when you said that the surge would be the most dangerous foreign policy blunder in this country since Vietnam? Were you correct or incorrect? Yes or no?
My reference to the surge being the most dangerous.
Senator Hagel, the question is, were you right or wrong? That's a pretty straightforward question.
Well, I'm not going to give you a yes or no answer on a lot of things
show that
today.
You refused to answer that question.
His problem isn't a paper trail. His problem is a demonstrated, incredibly remarkable lack of competence. Look, the two lines of attack on him up until today were, one, ideological, that the content of what he's been saying over the years is out of the mainstream, way out there to the left of Obama, as McCain pointed out. You know, he's a guy who got the surge completely wrong, and he himself called the Iraq War a disaster, and yet he voted to authorize the war. So the first line of attack was on the content. The second was on how honest is he? Because he's been denying essentially the essence of a dozen statements and ideas that he said in the past, and now he says all of a sudden, oh no, you know, on Iran I changed my mind.
From the left and the right, we should point out, on the gay issue, on climate change, on other things.
All of a sudden, you know, he's seen the light on a dozen issues overnight as he's being challenged in Congress. But what happened today was shocking because it showed an astonishing lack of competence. I mean, he was wobbly, he was weak, bumbling. As we saw in the first clip, he didn't, when he corrects himself on containment and says, you know, well, I was wrong about supporting containment. Our policy is that we don't have a policy on containment. It showed he has no idea about a single most grave issue facing the United States, containment of Iran or not. And he was corrected by a Democrat. And then on the Israel issue, he was completely humiliated by Senator Graham when he was asked, you said the Jewish lobby. Are you going to show that?
Do you believe that the sum total of all your votes refusing to sign a letter to the EU asking Hezbollah to be designated a terrorist organization, being one of 22 to vote to designate the Iranian Revolutionary Guard a terrorist organization, being one of two on 2 occasions to vote against sanctions that this body was trying to impose on Iran, the statements you've made about Palestinians and about the Jewish lobby, all that together, that the image you've created is one of sending the worst possible signal to our enemies and friends at one of the most critical times in world history?
No, I would not agree with that.
If you had a chance tomorrow, today, after lunch, to vote to say that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard was a terrorist organization, would you still vote no?
Times change. I recognize that, and yes, I would reconsider, but the whole
Well, thank you.
theory.
That's encouraging.
Well, now that we've shown everyone how spontaneous and unrehearsed we are. I was thinking of the tape where he quotes Hegel as saying the Jewish lobby has intimidated senators into voting for dumb things. And he said, name one senator. Of course, he says, I can't. Name one dumb thing, I can't. It was quite humiliating. But then he said something remarkable afterwards. He said, and that's the only time, I should have used the phrase the pro-Israel lobby, the only time I've used the phrase Jewish lobby on the record. Now, when you say on the record, normally you'd stop after Jewish lobby if you've never said it. But what you're saying is, well, yeah, I use it in private, but only once on the record. Look, this is a guy who showed that he is no Henry Kissinger. And the question after today is not the content of what he said, the views he's had, or of his honesty. It's a question of, is this the best mind that Obama could find to run the largest entity on the face of the earth? I think that's a tough question to answer.
Get through or not? Likely
yes, but it was an appalling performance, and I think Schumer and Obama are hugely embarrassed.
This has been a Sunfish production.